Hey everyone! Are you tired of following the best routes to farm echoes you may not need every day? I'm making this video to help those with busy lives to be able to farm your 3-cost echoes with ease. After doing some testing, some echoes you can do in as little as 10 minutes, while others can take all the way up to almost an hour just for one species. I want people to keep in mind this is just anecdotal evidence and everyone might not have the same experience as me. I used the site wuthering.gg interactive map for mob count and teleported to get to each enemy. Let's start with these. Who Chiefs, aka apes, aren't the fastest, but I'd say the most convenient. They are all in one location and their echoes are great for the Gale set and Rejuvenating set respectively. Being centrally located seems to be the only echoes this applies to as far as I'm aware, so there isn't as much teleportation needed. I will rate each echo in categories of time spent to keep things simple by low priority, medium priority, and high, meaning the amount of time each one takes to farm and most important. I'd rank the Who Chiefs as high priority. Moving on to the Tamburinas, you can find these all over the map, but it's pretty easy to take them out and there aren't that many of them. These usually take me about 10 minutes or less. I've had some runs only take 7 minutes. I'd rank the Tamburinas as high priority, and they can be farmed for your Havoc Rover and Danjin and any future Glacio DPS. Next high ranking I would put is the Flautist. Just like the Tamburinas, these are all over the map, but can be quickly disposed of. For me, during most of my runs, they were less than 12 minutes long, so I could get these pieces for any DPS that uses Void Thunder, including characters like Yinlin or Calcaro, or the attack set Lingering Tunes, but this isn't as important as Void Thunder. Next is the Chase Razor, which would go in the high priority category. It's great for the Gale set as well as the Moonlit set that many characters use. These runs would take me anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes. They are scattered around the map, but don't really take a long time to defeat. I would definitely put these in your daily rotation. Next up, we have the 2-bird echoes, starting with the Violet Heron. These are for your Electro characters and Fusion characters and are very easy to knock out. They can be done in less than 15 minutes. My runs usually were only 13 minutes, but people much stronger than me can probably even finish these in 10 minutes. The reason I put the Violet and the Cyan Herons as a pair is because when you farm one, the other is usually not too far away. So the Cyan usually takes me around the same amount of time to complete, around 13 minutes or less, and they are great for the Gale set and set. These next two are in high priority as well. I will mention the Rocksteady and Chasm Guardian, which I could usually finish in 8 to 10 minutes. The reason I put them after all these others is because they are used for the healing set, which to me is low priority, and the Spectro set, which at the moment we don't really have a main Spectro DPS, but I see them as high priority because they only take 8 minutes or so. The last echo I'll put in the high priority list is the Chasm Guardian. These echoes, like the Rocksteady, can be done fairly quickly in 10 to 12 minutes, but I would rank them as lower priority to farm than the others, but they will help you with your Rejuvenating set. The high priority list are the echoes I prioritize farming if you can because they take up the least amount of time. For me altogether, they take about an hour and 10 minutes. The next section would be medium priority. These took me anywhere from 15 minutes to 20. The Geohides, aka lizards, would be my top choice to farm in this list because they're used by Fusion DPS for the Molten set, and it's much better to farm over the other option that you may have, the Havoc Wolf, which we'll get to later in the video. There are a lot of them on the map, but I find it worth it compared to the next option. The Auto Puppet at the moment can be used for the Glacio set, and we don't seem to have a main Glacio DPS yet. But these took me 20 minutes to farm. I'm sure others could do them in a lot less time, but that's how long it took me. So I wouldn't prioritize these at the current moment because its second set is also Spectro. Lastly, the mobs that take the longest to farm, there are 4 in total: the Rose Shrooms, the Havoc Dreadmanes, Sparebacks, and the Stonewall Bracers. Out of these 4, the Rose Shroom and the Wolves are the only ones I would farm currently, but warning, they both take a long time to farm. The Rose Shrooms took me about 25 minutes to farm. There are a ton of them on the map, plus their little minions hit very hard while you're trying to farm them. You can farm these for your Havoc Rover and for future Glacio characters. Next up, we have the Havoc Dreadmanes. I believe these have the second most amount of 3-cost spawns in the game, so they take up quite a lot of time to farm. But they are for your fusion characters and Havoc Rover. These took me about 35 to 38 minutes to farm, so a very long time. I would only farm these if you're trying to min-max stats. Next up, the Spareback. I would say these currently aren't worth farming because they're for the Moonlit set, which already have alternatives, and the Attack set, which isn't worth farming currently. But these took me around 35 minutes to farm, so not worth it in my opinion. And lastly, the Stonewall Bracers. OMG, these take so long to finish, and there seems to be at least 100 of them on the map. But I would not farm these unless you're bored. They took me almost 48 minutes to farm these, so definitely not worth it with other alternatives that are in the game. So this video took me days to come up with the data to provide for you all. I would love to get a sub from you if this video helped you in any way at all. Thanks for stopping by. This is just my own data, but regardless, the high priority ones take up the least amount of time overall, so farm these.